Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled Monday states do not have the authority to remove Donald Trump from the ballot under the Insurrection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which was written to prevent Civil War Confederates from returning to government. The court's ruling came after the state of Colorado attempted to take Trump off the primary ballot over his actions inciting the January 6th insurrection. In the majority opinion, justices wrote, quote, states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency. The court's three liberal justices issued a concurring opinion warning the majority ruling, quote, attempts to insulate all alleged insurrectionists from future challenges to their holding federal office. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold responded to the court's ruling on MSNBC.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists.
Millions of voters are heading to the polls today as 15 states are holding primaries and caucuses in what's known as Super Tuesday. In California, there's a four-way race to fill the seat of the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Three Democratic Congress members, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee, are on the ballot, along with Republican Steve Garvey, a former Major League Baseball player. The top two candidates, regardless of party, will face off in November. In Minnesota, some Democratic activists are urging voters to select uncommitted on the ballot to protest Joe Biden's support for Israel's assault on Gaza. Jelani Hussein is co-chair of the Abandon Biden campaign.
For Tuesday, it's not Minnesotan Muslims, it's not the Muslims in the United States, it's really the overwhelming majority of Democrats who believe that the president is on a very dark course. So many children have been killed in Gaza, over 30,000 dead. Every single day, the Israeli Defense Force is killing innocent people, and our president has stayed silent, has not done anything. In fact, we have done the opposite. We have stopped the world from calling and stopping this war and calling for an immediate ceasefire.
The World Health Organization is warning malnutrition in northern Gaza is, quote, particularly extreme as talks continue over a possible 6-week temporary ceasefire. On Monday, Palestinian UN Ambassador Riyad Mansour warned children in Gaza are increasingly dying of starvation. He raised the case of Yazan al-Kafarna, an emaciated 10-year-old Palestinian child who died of severe malnutrition and insufficient health care.
Look at our children. Look at Yazan. Look what agony they are enduring. Dozen more children who died of malnutrition have been identified, and many more have died and are dying in darkness and destitution. This has to stop. For God's sakes, this has to stop.
A team of United Nations experts say they found, quote, reasonable grounds to believe that sexual violence, including rape, occurred on October 7th during the Hamas attack on Israel. The UN Special Envoy for Sexual Violence, Pramila Patten, spoke at the United Nations Monday.
We also found that there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence, including rape and gang rape, occurred during the 7th of October attacks in at least 3 locations, namely the Nova Music Festival site and its surroundings, Road 232, and Kibbutz Reim. And in most of these incidents, victims were first subjected to rape and then killed, and at least 2 incidents relate to the rape of women's corpses.
The UN expert, Pramila Patten, went on to say reports of rapes occurring at a 4th location, Kibbutz Be'eri, were unfounded. She said her team had also found, quote, clear and convincing information that some hostages held in Gaza had also suffered sexual violence. The UN experts did not conduct their own investigation, but instead wrote the report based in large part from conversations with Israeli institutions, including Zaka, an Israeli search and rescue organization that's been accused of spreading false stories about atrocities on October 7th. The UN team said it did not meet with any survivors of the sexual violence from October 7th. Patton also said her team received reports about imprisoned Palestinians facing sexual violence while in Israeli detention.
We nevertheless received, whilst there, from several interlocutors, information about cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment of Palestinians, men and women in detention, also under the administrative detention, including sexual violence in the forms of invasive body searches, threats of rape, and prolonged forced nudity.
2 weeks ago, a group of UN experts expressed alarm over the abuse of Palestinian women and girls held by Israel. In a statement, the experts said, quote, we are particularly distressed by reports that Palestinian women and girls in detention have also been subjected to multiple forms of sexual assault, such as being stripped naked and searched by male Israeli army officers. At least 2 female Palestinian detainees were reportedly raped, while others were reportedly threatened with rape and sexual violence, unquote. The UN experts said that Israeli troops took photos of female Palestinian detainees in degrading circumstances and posted them online. Ukraine is claiming it sunk a Russian warship in the Black Sea. Ukrainian naval drones reportedly attacked the $65 million ship off the coast of Crimea. In other news from the region, more than 20,000 soldiers from NATO countries have begun a massive war exercise in the northern regions of Finland, Norway, and Sweden. 4,000 troops are taking part from Finland, which joined NATO last year and shares a 800-mile border with Russia. The head of the military junta in Chad's confirmed he'll run in the upcoming election for president. Mohamed Idris Déby Itno made the announcement Saturday, just days after his chief rival was killed. Yahya Dillo died when security forces opened fire on the headquarters of his political party, the Socialist Party Without Borders. South Korea's government has announced it's moving to suspend the licenses of thousands of doctors who've been on strike for at least 2 weeks. About 7,000 doctors have defied orders by South Korean officials to return to work by the end of February. Doctors have been protesting the government's plan to increase medical school admissions by around 65%. They're demanding higher wages and a more manageable workload. Jack Teixeira, a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, has pleaded guilty to posting secret intelligence reports about the war in Ukraine and other issues online. He could serve 16 years in prison. He was indicted last year under the Espionage Act and has been jailed since April 2023 after he posted a series of highly classified Pentagon intelligence documents to a group of gamers on the messaging app Discord. And in Connecticut, 5 anti-nuclear activists connected to the Catholic worker movement were arrested Monday for blocking the gates of a General Dynamics plant in New London, where the Columbia-class nuclear submarines are being designed and constructed. During the action, a group of 20 protesters held life-sized images of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, with a banner reading, "Don't be a destroyer of worlds. Stop the Columbia sub." And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now! Co-host Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.